Before we begin our story, please don't forget to leave a like. It's very important and helps us a lot. Our goal is simple, just 80 likes. This motivates us and keeps our favorite anime popular.
Cuz would say, I won't allow that. Goku would say, Goku would launch himself with everything towards Cuz, but the angel would grab him by the face. Space-time would start to distort around them. Suddenly, Goku and Kus would be somewhere. What the hell? Goku would say, confused. This is Zone X. Cuz would say, a place far away from everything, where we can fight without anyone bothering us. Don't think you'll get out of this alive. I swear, I'll exterminate you and your traitorous brothers. Goku would say, furious. Please, what makes you think you're on the level of an angel? On the ground, hun. The other three would be shocked, as they had neither seen nor felt anything. In a matter of seconds, the other three guardians would suffer the same fate. Aishin-kan would arrive in an instant, sensing something strange. What is all this? Dashin would ask himself in terror. The kings of the whole would open their eyes and see the bodies of the guardians. Why are they sleeping? One Zeno Sama would ask. I think they died. The other Zeno Sama would say. What? The first Zeno Sama would say. Great Lord, are you okay? Dying KH would ask. We are? One would say. What happened to them? The other Zeno Sama would ask. It looks like someone came in and killed them, Dying KH would say. Dying KH would look around, finding nothing. I think we're gonna have to take some measures with all this, and would say. Dainan would. On Earth, Goku had just finished having dinner with his family. Wow, Goku, you've really cultivated quite a bit this year, quite a bit. Shishi would say. Right? Goku would say. I've definitely cultivated enough to take a year off. Don't get too smart. You don't just work for money, you work to set an example for Goten and Chishi. Would say seriously. Come on, I didn't have that problem with Gohan, Goku would say. Gohan's case is different. Kiki would say Dunk's studies and his father never worked, Goten would say. Vegeta is a very bad example, Shishi would say, offended. He's just a prince. Princes don't work? Princes make money, Goku would say. I don't care, Vegeta! You have a responsibility, and you must fulfill it no matter what, Chi-Chi would say. Suddenly, Wills and Beerus would arrive inside the house as if nothing had happened. How did they get in? Tishi would ask, terrified. We regret this way of entering, but we had no choice, Whis would say. We're in a bit of a hurry. We need Mr. Goku to come with us. Are we gonna train? Goku would ask excitedly. Goku, you have a job? No training. Shishi would say seriously. But Shishi, Goku would say somewhat sadly. Don't worry, Mrs. Shishi. We got Mr. Goku a good job. Whis would say, hey, why does everyone want me to work? Goku would ask, annoyed. It's a very important position, and it will pay well, Whis would say. An important position? Chi-Chi would say excitedly. Oh cool, I don't know what they saw in you to take that position, but you can't waste the opportunity. Accept it before they realize what you really are. Chi-Chi would say as if no one was listening. That was something Beerus would say, shocked. Uncomfortable to hear, Whis would say. Go on, Chi-Chi, don't exaggerate. Goku would say. Whis, tell me what it's about. Do I have to fight someone? Goku would ask. More or less, Whis would say. He'll have to be the new guardian of Zeno Sama. Zeno Sama's guardian? Goku would ask. Zeno Sama's guardian, Beerus would say. Wow, Zeno Sama's guardian? Goku would say, amazed. Yes, it's already clear that he's going to be Zeno Sama's guardian, Whis would say, most with, please, come with us. Milk, did you hear that? Goku would say excitedly, I'll be Zeno Sama's guardian. Stop repeating yourself, Beerus would say, annoyed. What do I have to do now? Goku would ask. First of all, he'll have to come with us, Whis would say. Wussy Beerus would take Goku to Zeno Sama's planet so he could start his new job. I'll just warn you of one thing, whatever you do, don't even think about bothering Zeno Sama, Beerus would say. Remember who he is. What Mr. Beerus means is that if he makes him angry, Universe 7 could disappear, Whis would say. Don't worry, I get along very well with Little Zen, Goku would say. Don't even think about telling him, Little Zen, Beerus would say, furious. He should be thankful that Zeno-sama likes Mr. Goku. Whis would say, our friends would finally arrive at Zeno-sama's planet, Akan. Goku, you're here! Both Zeno-samas would say at the same time. Hello, I came to be your guardian, Goku would say. We know, one would say. We asked for you, the other Sanozama would say. Right, what do I do now? Goku would ask. All the angels would arrive, including Diane as your Goku. It's great that you came, Dane would say. Hello, I see that all the angels are here, Goku would say. Some of the angels would be a little upset with Goku since they found it unworthy that a mortal was the direct guardian of Zeno Sama. I don't like this at all, Goku would think attentively. Well, there's not much to know. He should protect Zeno Sama since he doesn't have the other guardians, Dankash would say. What happened to them? Goku would ask. They killed them, Whis would say. But how? Goku would ask. Their heads fell. Both would say they love each other as if it were nothing. What? Goku would say, holding his neck. Don't worry, it's nothing you can't control, Dingen would say. Anyway, you'll be trained by me before taking your position. Oh, that's great, Goku would say. But what will happen now with Zeno Sama? We angels will stay here for as long as you're training, Whis would say. Don't worry, after all, we'll use a time room, Dankaha would say. That way 5 years will pass in one day. Angels also have to fulfill their tasks. Mr. Beerus, why are you here? Goku would ask. I'm certainly afraid you'll do something reckless, Beerus would say. The atmosphere felt increasingly tense. The angels felt a natural rejection for Goku, except for Wii U and a few other angels. Goku would be taken to a special time room. He was ready to begin his training. How strange, this place feels very light, Goku would say. Hey, shouldn't a time room have increased gravity? Oh, those are mortal trainings based on physical strength, Diane, Kaich would say. But my body is mortal, Goku would say. But are you climbing to the level of gods or did you not realize it? Doni Kai would ask. Try it. Attack me with all your might. Really? But I could never do anything to you. If not even angels reach your feet, Goku would say. Attack me and you will understand, and none would say. Okay, but I will use all my strength, otherwise it is pointless, Goku would say. Goku would use Super Saiyan Blue and launch himself with everything towards 9. He would arrive with a strong punch which the High Priest would resist, but to Goku would observe his fist. He would notice that the blow had been very weak. I think he realized it. Dying Cage would say, that was Goku T. Weak? That is because he has become accustomed to staying in normal gravity and in increased gravity, Dying Cage would explain. But he does not know what it is to be almost without gravity. He should be prepared for that if one day he has to fight in space. Wow, it's like he can't hit properly, Goku would say. Goku would start throwing several punches in the air. He would realize his surprise even at one point when throwing a kick, he would fall on his back. That's what I mean, Dinkaka would say. To be a guardian of Zeno Sama, he will have to master many scenarios. Dasheng would snap his fingers and the temperature would rise. Man, it's so hot, Goku would say as he began to sweat. This is also part of your training, Dying Kong would say. Being able to navigate extreme temperature sure is... Being a guardian, he can face certain beings from all over the universe. He has to be ready for anything. Goku, he has to be ready for anything. Goku, is there anything? Go. But it doesn't matter, it's worth it. Goku would be training all this time right now, learning to control his body more efficiently, as well as withstand the most extreme conditions, yo. Meanwhile, on Zeno Sama's planet, both kings of all were playing with each other. The angels were watching over them, fulfilling their every need. Where's the air is tan, Spills would say. I know, I could tell, which would say. To be honest, I have some suspicions. Mojito would arrive to talk to Whis. Brother, I see that your mortals are performing well. They even become gods, eh? Mojito would say. I hope that's not a sarcastic comment. Whis would say seriously. Not at all. On the contrary, you have my approval, Mojito would say. Please, as if I needed it, Whis would say annoyed. What's going on here? Bados would ask. Nothing. Mojito being envious as always, Whis would say. It's not a competition either. Okay, Margarita would say, that's all I needed. Whis would say, wow, I feel so small among so many angels. Bills would think, everything okay? Vados would ask, don't think everything can be okay with Goku as Zeno Salmos, the Guardian. Okay, Margarita would say, Durand would be much better for that position, eh? He's stronger and much more serious and attentive, plus he's always mindless, always calm and ready to fight. Okay. I guess you'd like to make that suggestion to Osama. Beerus would intervene, stealing the glances of all the angels. This is a conversation between angels. Don't get involved, okay? Margarita would say seriously. Mr. Beerus is right and I support him. Whis would say, if you like the idea of Dinam being a supreme guardian so much, go and tell him. Margarita would be really upset by Whis and Commenta. Unless you know that Zeno Sama's decisions are not questioned, Beerus would say, how dare you talk to me like that? Margarita would say furiously. Margarita would raise her hand carrying cable. Whis would grab her wrist and Lynn, I don't think I need to tell you, Whis would say seriously. Wrong? They would both ask Osama. Right, sir. We were Jaws playing. Whistle would say with a smile. Are playing? Okay. Margarita would say, okay, let's play hide and seek. Way. One say Osama would say, yes, lost, play hide and seek. Yeah, the other Zeno Sama would say. The angels would start playing hide and seek at the request of the kings of all. Recent Beerus would hide in the same place, Zuma. I have to make sure he doesn't fall asleep like last time, Whis would say. Don't talk nonsense. I couldn't sleep on a day like today, Beerus would say. I'm worried about the other angels, especially Margarita and Mojito. I feel like they have something to do with the deaths of the guardians. I didn't want to say it, but I have the same feeling, Whis would say. Whis would say, that must be why Goku's presence bothers the others so much. In the meantime, he would spend the entire day, almost 5 years inside the time chamber. Goku was ready for his last fight. Yeah. He wore a uniform identical to Dianan's. Very well, Mr. Goku. Since we're about to leave, I want to see everything I've learned, Diane-kan would say. Okay, Goku would say as he stood guard. Not like that, Dianka would say. What's going on? Goku would ask, confused. I want you to fight with all your might, to use all your strength, to use all your... It's a test of your abilities. Take it seriously, Danka would say. I understand, Goku would say seriously. Goku would shout, raise your Kia to the maximum, thus managing to use the Ultra Instinct transformation, leaving his hair white. Perfect, I'm ready, Goku would say. That's how I like it, Dane-kun would say, as he watched Goku using his mastered Ultra Instinct. Goku was ready to put on his show. Would launch himself at Dain-kan, landing a powerful kick. Dashinka would manage to withstand the attack as if it were nothing. Not bad, Dane would say. Goku would attack with a punch, but Dainan would manage to dodge the attack again. Then Goku would attack with a barrage of punches one after another, but none of his attacks would have any effect. Ashinguk would dodge each one of them with great agility, which was to be expected. At one point, Goku would launch a punch charged with K, and Dainan would hold the attack with just the tip of his finger. A great rumble would occur throughout the entire room of time. I think you've achieved good results, Dane would say with a smile. Nah, there's just one problem, Goku would say. Don't tell me you're still doing that, Dainan would say. Now that I'm so strong, I have no one to fight, really. The angels are too strong for me, but the gods of destruction have fallen behind, Goku would say. It won't be the same anymore. Don't worry. The 12 universes are great. At some point, a warrior of your stature will appear, Dane would say. I hope so, Goku would say. For now, the important thing is to fulfill my role as guardian in addition to finding out who was able to kill the previous guardians. Leave that to me, but just anyone could accomplish such a feat, Dan Kihash would say. Remember all the advice I've given you, and I hope you take it wisely. Of course, that's how it will be, Goku would say. The day had finally arrived. Goku and Dainan would emerge from the time chamber, surprising everyone. Can't be! Vados would say, astonished. Is that really Mr. Goku's power? Whisper would say. What the hell? Beerus would say, bewildered. Goku, you're back, one would say. Yes, you're back! The other Zeno Sama would say. That's right, and I'm ready to be your guardian, Goku would say excitedly. All the angels would whisper among themselves, speculating about Goku's new power. It would only arouse more resentment among them. Is there a problem? Dainan would ask seriously, and all the angels would fall silent. Harent. That's how I like it. Alright, first of all, I want to thank everyone for taking care of Zeno Sama in my absence. From now on, I will be the new guardian of the King of All, and it will be a pleasure to take on this role, Goku would say. He even learned to speak, Beerus would say. The atmosphere was still tense. The angels did not look favorably on Goku. Then Dainan would come. I think a warm greeting would not hurt, Dainan would say seriously, to cut off so much coldness from all the angels. The angels would perform a slight bow in a way of respect. Everyone would leave there except Whis and Beerus. Then Mr. Goku, what a great change, Whis would say. You have finally surpassed me, Beerus would say. Thank you, guys. I wouldn't made it here anyway if it weren't for you, Goku would say. Your teachings and experience were what brought me here. Goku, now you're gonna take care of us, he would say. We are loved. Yes, you're gonna take care of us and we're also gonna play for a long time, he would say. We are loved. Of course, Goku would say. We send videos. Whis would return to their planet, surprised by the new Goku. So Mr. Goku has become a god. Whis would say, it just worries me. How long will it take him to mess up? Beerus would say, don't worry about it. My father will surely be aware of everything. Whis would say. In the meantime, Goku would begin his duties as guardian. He would constantly watch over the Anasamazua. They played with each other. After several days, everything seemed to be in order. Even Dian was keeping an eye on everything because he suspected another attack was coming. What was that? Goku would ask. What thing? One Zeno Sama would ask. Yeah, what thing? The other Zeno Sama would say. Nothing, it was just my imagination, Goku would say between laughs. Damn, I drew too much attention. I didn't have to say anything out loud, Goku would think. Goku would step away for a moment. He would try to sense someone's ki, but he couldn't feel anything. I'm sure I felt a presence, Goku would say. Goku would close his eyes for a moment while the Amazbrasa were distracted and create a copy of himself. The copy would come out of there and begin to search the surroundings. After searching the entire palace, it would find nothing. Oh, strange, Goku's copy would say. Suddenly, something would hit the copy from behind and it would disappear completely. Goku was watching the Enosis. His head would feel uneasy. His nose would bleed. When his copy died, all of its memories would come back to him. Who was it? Goku would wonder as he wiped the blood from his nose. Denkin would arrive, surprising Goku. Perhaps, Goku would say, until Dengnan managed to silence Goku with a gesture. That was very thoughtful of him, Daionkan would say. So it was you, Goku would say more calmly. Indeed, Daionkan would say, try not to speak loudly next time. A real enemy would run away and you wouldn't be able to catch him. Yes, I know. The Zeno Samas would be very distracted playing among themselves. They barely paid attention to Goku and Dined. Any news? Goku would ask. Nothing at the moment, but I'll be attentive, Dian Kihiage would say. Okay, Goku would say. Goku would continue with his work as Zeno Sama's guardian. He would be attentive to everything for several days, but he didn't feel any threat. Thanks to this ability that Dying taught me to sense every last leaf that moves on the entire planet, there's no way that something could happen without me noticing, Goku would think. Suddenly, Goku would sense something. He would move his hand nimbly and delicately hold a needle. None of the Anasamas had noticed. Goku would pay attention to the direction from which the needle was coming. I don't know where it came from, but it's the last place it would have stopped, eh? Goku would think. Goku would disappear in an instant and reach the sky at the limits of Zeno-sama's planet. This way, Goku would think. Suddenly, Goku would move his hand to the side. In an instant, he had hit by the neck. I knew it, Goku would say. It would try to move, but it would be impossible. Let go of me, it would say. Tell me, why did you want to kill Zeno-sama with this? Goku would say seriously as he showed the needle. Idiots, I'm guarding the place Bato sent me, it would say. Goku would punch him in the neck, knocking him out. Then he would return to him. What happened? Both of them would say in the MS. Looks like I found the killer, Goku would say. Let's make him disappear, one would say. Yes, make him disappear, the other Zeno-sama would say. No, not yet, Goku would say. Why? Both of them would ask. Because we have to find out who sent him. I highly doubt Hit intends to do it on his own, Goku would say. Hit is a hitman. He doesn't kill unless someone tells him to and he gets paid to do it. Well, that's fine, one Zeno-sama would say. Yes, that's fine, the other Zeno-sama would say. Hit would wake up with difficulty. He was suffering from a huge headache. What am I doing here? Hit would say, confused. You better tell me who sent you, Goku would say. It was Betos, but he didn't send me to kill him, he sent me to watch him, Hit would say. Come on, too, Goku would say. Dinkan would appear out of nowhere. I heard everything, Dian could say. I hope she's not lying or she'll have a really bad time. You can ask her, Hit would say. I said I'd never reveal my identity, but I think the occasion calls for it. What exactly did Vato say? Goku would ask. That he should kill anything that enters Zeno-sama's planet without properly introducing himself, Hit would say. Goku would show the needle. Explain this, Goku would say. They look like Frost's needles. I have nothing to do with this, Hit would say. I wasn't even on the planet. I remain in a spiritual state above the space near the planet. Goku, did you manage to detect the needle in time? Dian KH would ask. That's right, it appeared out of nowhere, Goku would say. I only felt the needle, there was nothing else. Then I felt Hit's presence. Well, I felt a certain distortion in space, Hit would say. I think that stressed me out, and for a moment I lost my spiritual state. Hello, Jude. Vados, can you come here? Dine would ask as he used his wand. Sure, I'll be right there, Vados would say. Vados would be there in a moment. Oh, I see it's because of a hit? Vados would say. Sorry, I had to tell them you sent me. Hit would say. Vados, you sent him. They would both ask Osama. That's right. Yeah, I have suspicions about who could have killed the other Guardians. That's why I sent him to keep watch. Vados would say. Explain this. Goku would say when showing him Frost's needle. Wow, Frost needle. Vados would say. I felt a distortion in space as if gravity were affecting it. It would say. I think that has something to do with it. That's right, Aranasa, Goku would say. Excuse me? Vados was. Aranasa, diffusion of Universe 3. He could create dimensional portals. That's the only thing I can think of for the needle to have appeared out of nowhere. Goku would say. I guess they should go to university. Vados would say. From Khan you could stay. Goku would ask. Of course, Danko would say. I don't mind covering him if it stopped find out who's responsible for such an attack. I can take him if you want. Vados would say. Yeah, that would be great. Goku would say. Mr. Hit, I'd like you to continue with the function my daughter gave you. Diane KH would say. Sure, no problem, Hit would say. If you misbehave, we'll disappear you, Zeno Sama would say. Yeah, if you misbehave, we'll erase you, the other Zeno Sama would say. I understand, Gita would say. Gulping will make... Let's stop you for success. We need to talk to Mr. Frost. Vados would say. Okay, let's go there, Goku would say. Vados and Goku would go to planets, Sidala and Universe 6 to talk to Kavla. Of course, that's definitely Frost the Key Up, would say. We've got him under pressure. We managed to imprison him in a special place for strong people like him. Wouldn't it be very useful to see him? Vados would say. Our friends would go to Frost's cell and find him dead, wouldn't they? Wouldn't they? Kav would say, astonished. There's no doubt that they silenced him. Maybe they stole his needles, Goku would say. But how could he get into the cell? Cave would say, puzzled. There's no way someone could get in here without leaving a trace. Goku and Bato would look at each other. They understood that this was the same situation as with the attack on Zeno Sama. Thank you for everything, Kiabi, Goku would say. Vados, right away, Vados would say. Vados and Goku would go to the Kaioshin's planet in Universe 3. Interestingly, the God of Destruction, Moscow, and his angel Kimpadi were there. Brother, what are you doing here? Bato would ask seriously, hi, but I'm going to ask you what you're doing here. I remind you that this is my universe, Campari would say. We want to know what happened to Aranasa, Goku would say. Moscow would start talking in cybernetic sounds. Mr. Moscow, don't say that, he would say. Moscow, if you keep talking from that metal thing, I'll take you out by force, Goku would say. Moscow, open the robot and come out. Hey, more respect act, Moscow would say. I always communicate like this. Wow, but you didn't take long to get out of there, Goku would say between laughs. Bastard, Moscow would say. This is serious. They tried to kill Zeno Sama again, and we suspect a distortion in space. Vados would say, I understand that's something only Arinasa could do, but it's a fusion of 4 of my men. They should ask Dr. Paparone how does his portal system work. He would say, yeah, bring him here right now. Goku would say seriously upon seeing E. Dr. Paparone would be summoned by EA to answer for the portal system. In the meantime, Dashin would be with Zeno Sama while Hit took care of the surroundings. Hit was in his spirit form unseen by anyone, but something would break his concentration or filan. It would lose his state and something would cut him in two. It would stop time instinctively. He would see a sword that had just come out of his side, but he would be unable to do anything about it. The time skip would end and Hit would fall dead on Zenosama's planet. Right near the door of his palace, DUNKH reached his body with his staff. How did they kill him? Bonin would wonder. Dashinka would call Batos to give him the news. Batos, I'm sorry to tell you that they killed your Manding, and Keshu would say, who was it? Vados would say, I don't know, but whoever it was, they cut him in two. Danatine would say, it can't be. Not just anyone could kill someone like Hit, just like Goku would say, hi. Goku would look at Campari with suspicion. If you have something to say, do it, Campari would say. I want Paparoni here immediately, Goku would say. Seriously. Mr. Goku, I respect that you are the guardian of Zeno Sama, but we cannot tolerate this kind of impudence. E would say, if you have nothing to hide, bring pepperoni. Vados would say seriously. Pepperoni would arrive and begin talking to Goku about the technology they used to create the portals. Although Pepperoni was the creator of that invention, he said that others could have also created it. As I told you, it is just a distortion in space. The only thing I can confirm is that the greater distance between the portals, the more energy is required, Pepperoni would say, would say. So either he was close or he was someone very strong, Goku would say. I don't know who could do it, but not even someone like Jiren could create a portal like that from another planet, Pepperoni would say. That fits the Guardian Killer's fighting level, Salso Kuikwine Wineka. Vados would say. Campati would discreetly walk away from there and call Margarita with his vacuum. We have trouble, Campati would say and show Goku, Kona, and Pepperoni. Hey, that's not true. How can he be there with his nose? Huh? Margarita would say. I don't know, but this is getting dangerous, Campari. Campari would say. Who are you talking to? Vados would ask. Yes, and why are you distancing yourself from us? You're afraid we'll overhear, Goku would say. I don't know what you're talking about, Campari would say. Come on, stop pretending, Goku would say. You're hiding something. I'll blind him that he's talking to an angel, Campari would say. Remember that I am. Vados would say. If you don't want to explain yourself to Goku, do it with me. Damn it, Campari would think, annoyed. Campari's attitude would make Goku and Vado even more suspicious. Suddenly, Mojito and Margarita would appear. What are you doing here? Vados would ask. Hey, I don't like this at all, Ia would say. Mojito would launch himself towards the A2 attack, but Vados would save him just in time with his wand by repelling his attack. This is about treason, Vados would say. I can't believe it, Ia would say. Hey, what's going on here? Moscow would ask, terrified. Finish them off once and for all, Campari would say. Goku would use Ultra Instinct and launch himself towards Mojito, but Margarita and Campari would get in front of him, blocking his path, Get out of my way, Goku would say. Margarita and Campari would hit Goku hard in the stomach. He would be left breathless and fall to the ground, losing his transformation, while Vados and Mojito would be fighting each other. Good heavens! What the hell are you doing? Vados would ask, bewildered. This idiot Goku ruined our plans, Campari would say. You dare to support him? Okay. Margarita would say, annoyed. I'm on Zeno Sama's side, but I see that you're traitors. Vados would say, Moscow gua. Out of here. Both gods would try to get out of there, but Margarita would get in front of them, Ayanadana. With a blow from the edge of her hand, she would cut off Ia's head. Enough, okay? Margarita would say. Margarita would grab Moscow and throw him against the wall. Enjoy your seconds of life! Without Kaioshin, you die! Margarita would say. Vados would have to face the three angels, Margarita, Mojito, and Campari. Join us! We will kill Zeno Sama and rule the angels. Vados would say. If our father knew about this, he would be very disappointed in you. Vados would say. Then we have no choice, Campari would say. The three would attack Vados with everything. The Angel of Universe 6 would be in serious trouble, since Sola could not sustain the fight. Little by little they would wear her down, while on Zeno Sama's planet things would get more complicated. Goose would be flying above the planet, dropping a ball of energy that would cover the entire planet. Dashinani and Zeno Sama would be frozen in time under that effect. At least with this, we will make sure that our father does not discover our plans. Kay would say, get out of there. Beerus was about to fall. It was getting harder and harder for him to maintain his stance. What we're doing is unforgivable. I'll make sure our father punishes them. Yeah, Pim. Vados would say, that won't happen. Okay. Margarita would say, cuz took care of that. He froze our father anytime so he wouldn't bother us anymore. Mohedo would say, Aim would say. They are damned. Vados would say. Vados would raise his Ki to the maximum. He would launch a Kia attack towards the three of them, but each of them would counter the attack with another Ki attack with another Ki. Vados would not be able to withstand the clash of powers for long. He was about to receive the impact. Suddenly Vados would disappear as if by magic. An explosion would occur in the area where he was. Where did he get to? Margarita would ask herself, bewildered. This had saved her at just the right moment. He had Vados in his arms. Brother! Vados would say, exhausted. Don't worry, I came as soon as I could. Whis would say as he laid Beerus on the ground. Whis, get out of here! You have no chance against them! Bados would say, I can't leave without trying. Whis would say. Was it gone? I'm not as selfish as you guys, Whis would say. Whis would raise his K to the maximum. He was ready to fight. He may be stronger than us, but that won't give you victory, Kumpuri would say. Remember that it's 3 against 1. I'm waiting for you, Whis would say. Whis would launch himself towards them while Vados watched the fight. Whis showed great skills due to the variety of techniques, but it wasn't enough. Little by little, the 3 angels would wear down Whis, although Whis was clearly no easy opponent. He managed to connect attacks on all 3 and at least moderately damage them. At one point, Margarita would arrive with a flying kick, throwing Wit away. Mojito would receive it by grabbing him by the neck and creating a key ball to attack him at a close range. You've had enough of me, Mojito would say, but a key ball would hit Mojito in the back. Bados, despite his condition, would stand up. He wouldn't give up so easily. We'll fight, the 2 of us. Bados would say, I would like to refuse, but I have no choice, Whis would say. An even more intense fight than before would begin between the 5 of them. The 3 traitors would have trouble holding their own, but they would still be able to fight them both. On the other hand, Moscow would go to Ia's head and place it on his body. Luckily, he doesn't know you're an android, Moscow would say. Don't raise your voice, they have to think we're dead, Ia would say. Ei and Moscow would leave from there, although Moscow should leave without his robot. The flight continued, but Whis and Vados were about to fall. We have to kill them, okay? Margarita would say. It's necessary. They are our brothers after all. Mojito would say, if we don't, they'll give us away. Margarita would say, let's kill them now, shall we? 3 of them would launch a co-raid. Vados and Whis would respond in kind, countering the attacks. Despite being 3 against 2, they managed to hold it off, but little by little, Whis and Vados would lose the advantage. Still can't believe they want to kill us, huh? Bados would say. With Margarita involved, I can expect anything, Whis would say. Whis and Bados would hear footsteps behind them. Goku was standing. The guardian of Zeno Sama maintained a grim expression, but despite his condition, he would not give up. I heard it all, Goku would say as his eyes lit up white. I will not forgive them. Goku would use Ultra Instinct, surpassing his own limits. He would unleash a great power never seen before. I can't believe it, it's formidable, Whis would say. Came. Goku would say as he prepared his special take. Support Vados, so maybe we can do it, Whis would say. Goku would shout as he supported Vados and Whis with his camel. Little by little, our friends' attack would gain advantages, surprising their rivals. Perhaps they are matching the angels, Kumpuri would say, terrified. After a great moment of tension, Goku would use the Kaioken, sacrificing his energy. Despite how dangerous it was, he was willing to do anything to save Whis and Vados. Suddenly, the attack would gain the upper hand. Margarita, Mojito, and company would be swallowed by the attack. 3 would be thrown several meters. Far from being defeated, they would fall to the ground in terrible condition. In that distraction, Whis and Vados would manage to escape with an unconscious Goku. Moments later, we see Whis and Vados arrive with Goku on Bill's planet. Both angels were in terrible condition. What happened to them? Bills would ask, bewildered. A betrayal, Whis would say, and faint. It can't be. Who would do something like this to you guys? Beerus would say, terrified. They were. Vados would say, and faint. Damn, how do I fix this? Beerus would say. Beerus would take the 3 of them to his castle and put them in comfortable places, as he would tend to their wounds, although he didn't know how to perform any kind of healing technique. What happened? The Oracle Fish would ask upon seeing the scene. Useless fish, you must have predicted something like this, Beerus would say. Now bring medicine. We need to heal them as soon as possible. Don't think that because I'm an oracle, I can see everything, the Oracle Fish would say. Bring medicine or you'll become Jimmy, Beerus would say. Beerus would say. Moments later, Whis would wake up, although with difficulty. Come on, Goku, Whis would say. They're fine. I gave them some medicine, but they're sleeping now, Beerus would say. You using medicine, Whis would say, melted head. Yes, although I don't know what I gave them, Beerus would say as he showed some bottles. That's for the monkey fever from planet Miro, Whis would say. And that's a decongestant. I told you that wouldn't work, the Oracle Fish would say. Shut your mouth. You didn't help at all, Whis would say furiously. Could you keep quiet? My head hurts a lot, Whis would say. Just try to arrest. We'll take care of everything, the oracle fish would say. We'll take care of the medicine, Whis would say. I can't heal the bodies of angels with my powers. Could you at least heal Goku? Beerus would say. He's not an angel. No, I can't heal him, Whis would say. What are you talking about? Beerus would say, confused. Something happened to Mr. Goku. He's not the same as before, Whis would say. Meanwhile, Margarita, Mojito, Campari, and Kus were gathered to continue with their plans, though. We're against 8? This is getting out of hand, Kus would say. If we don't act now, the others will attack us, Mojito would say. I have an idea, but it's a bit risky, Margarita would say. Wait, what do you want to do? Campari would ask, not very convinced with everything that was happening. Goku and the others had just recovered. They had to find a solution to the situation before the traitorous angels got ahead. But things wouldn't be that easy. I can't believe it, Whis would say, astonished. What's going on? Goku would ask. Zeno Sama's planet, Whis would say. Our friends would observe Zeno Sama's planet. They would see Dashin at the gate. He didn't move an inch as he was suspended in time. Someone knocked Zeno Sama out of the game, Whis would say. But who could it have been? Vados would ask. It's clear that it was one of those 3, but I don't know if there were more traitors, Goku would say. Jeez, this is gonna get worse. Goku, I don't want to jump to conclusions, Sakiri. But what would the angels who aren't involved in this thing, huh? Beerus would say seriously. What do you mean? Goku would ask, confused. Mr. Goku, it's more than obvious. Vados would say. The other angels will blame you. Come on, you can't be serious, Goku would say. Well, I would if I didn't know all this, Vados would say. Anyone would say that you killed the Guardians to take that position, and that's why you befriended Zeno Sama beforehand. Whis would say, remember that you haven't always been seen in a good light. Whis would look up to the sky. They had sensed it. Each of the angels would arrive with their respective god of destruction and Kaioshin's bias. Damn it, they're gonna blame me, Goku would say. There he is. He was the one who froze time on planet Zeno Sama. Margarita would say. That's not true. You're the traitors, Whis would say. Comp Body, Mojito, Margarita, you guys want to kill Zeno Sama and you attacked us for investigating you. Vados would say. This isn't true. Margarita would say, we traveled to Universe 3 to find out about portal technology, but you got scared and that's why you came. Goku would say. Plus, you killed Hit. Was watching Zeno Sama. I think Vados is collaborating with him. Mojito would say. Besides Whis, clearly after all, those two defended Goku with everything, Wolf with everything. Campbell would say. You can't be serious, you fucking cheaters, Goku would say furiously. As Suki exploded, as the rest of the angels were hesitant, although it was noticeable that they were leaning towards blaming Goku. But Kus would complicate things even more. I think Mr. Goku is to blame for everything, Kus would say. Whis and Bato would stand in front of Goku to support him. All the other angels were against him. Campari, where are your gods? Kus would ask. Mr. Goku murdered them, killed the Kaiyoshi, and as a result their god of destruction died, Tamba would say. Now. Damn liar, Goku would say out of his mind. Goku would throw himself at Campari, but Mojito would get in his way. Goku would land with a kick, giving him a hard blow. Don't try anything strange, dirty mortal, Mojito would say seriously. With Vados, it would be better if you all move aside, okay? Margarita would say. Mr. Goku must be eliminated for treason. Yi would say as he introduced himself. Moscow was with him. Wait a minute. They were supposed to be dead. JC would say, astonished. That's what Margarita thought when she cut off my head. EA would say, how great, you're alive. Goku would say happily. Damn, he ruined everything. Margarita would think furiously. Well, I guess Goku would. Right in the end, Beerus would say with a triumphant smile. Margarita cut off EA's head. She just didn't know that EA is an android, Moscow would say. EA would put his hands on his face and take off his head. Margarita, Mobito, and Kambadi are the traitors, he would say as he pointed at them. Damn, I trusted you all my life, Moscow would say, annoyed with Campari Bari. The 3 angels would be surrounded by the rest as they were in the eye of the storm. Gus would feign surprise. He didn't want to be suspected. Margarita, I can't believe it, Vermouth would say. How do we know that their gods have nothing to do with it? Kitella would ask. Hey, what do you mean by that? R would say furiously. We have nothing to do with those plants. Mojito acted on his own, Cedra would say. Well, someone else had to act to freeze time on Zeno Sama's planet, Beerus would say. Besides, don't forget that we have to free him. Don't be fools! This is our chance. Or do you want to continue fearing No Sama? Margarita would say, trying to get allies. You put us at risk with all this, Wivage would say. Oh, damn. Margarita would say furiously, I say we lock them up until we find out if someone else was involved with them who knows. Cuss would say, Sister, what are you doing? Margarita would say furiously. Cuss's grim expression would tell her that she had to keep quiet. Are they trying something? Margarita would think. Know about you, but I don't think any god of destruction has the courage to conspire against Zeno Sama, Arak would say. Yes, I think the same, Kitella would say, would. Then let's lock these three up where we find a way to free Zeno Sama and our father from that time, Rizm, to Wise who would say. Amari, Margarita, and Movito would be in trouble. Three would be locked up by the rest of the angels, while Kusas would try to help them from the outside, all. Our friends would leave the angels in a celestial prison where not even they could escape and head towards Zeno Sama's planet. There they would see the planet covered by a strange barrier. I've never seen a time prison like this, Whis would say. I'm wondering if time is frozen or if it just flows extremely slowly inside it. Jeezy would say. Are you saying it's something like a time room? Goku would ask you. We'd have to keep an eye on it to notice if it's moving slowly. Jess would say, at the moment, it's hard to know how to remove this when we don't know what caused it, Quidi would say. Wiz would rest his hand on the barrier. He would try to put his hand inside, but the pressure was really strong. Impossible. The discontinuity in time doesn't let me get through, Wiz would say. Anyway, if you go in, you won't be able to do anything, huh? Vanos would say, damn, this is really bad. And these three traitors don't want to talk, Goku would say. I think we'll have to investigate outside of here to find a solution, Whis would say. Each of the gods would return to their universe in search of some tool that would help them free Daigon and escape from that temporal prison. Then Kus would go to the prison where the three angels were, prisoners as... Wow, so you decided to come after all, okay? Margarita would say in a bad mood. Don't make those comments! We wouldn't gain anything if the four of us were in here, Kus would say. I'm gonna get them out of here. If you do, all four of us will end up locked up, Kampai would say. That's why we have to attack, Kus would say. We managed to confuse our brothers. We can emerge victorious if we attack them one by one. Are you sure? Maito would ask. That's a very big risk. It's all for nothing. If we don't do it, our loved ones will disappear. Your way, Kus would explain. I guess we have nothing to lose, Campari would say. Kus would start raising his ki. He would have to make a great effort to free his brothers from that prison, Elon. Noctis would have to go to hell to find him since he was sent there for being a hitman. Ezim. All the surprise, Hit would say coldly. Mr. Hit, I heard about your death and decided to come see you. Do you know who it was? Vados would ask. I saw her for a second, but I saw her, it would say. I was able to stop time at the right moment, although it was too late for me to survive. It gave me time to see her. It's about the Angel of Universe 10. Wait a minute, cuz? Vados would say, terrified. I don't know her name. She's the youngest of you, Hit would say. That unfortunate woman was saved? Do you know how I fell Simon on the planet Diosama? Vados would say, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. It would say. So I figured she did it after I died. I can't believe it. I have to stop her as soon as possible. Vados would say. Excuse me, I thought you were gonna get me out of here, Hit would say. If I do it now, you'll die. I'll do it when this is all over. Vados would say as he left there. Now that I think about it, I prefer to stay here, Hit would say as he realized that things were serious. At that moment, the three imprisoned angels would arrive in Universe 7. We would call Beerus terrified. Goku and Whis would leave instantly, but Beerus would be pierced by a K-beam from Mojito Dio. Bills? Goku would say furiously. I can't believe it, Whis would say in warning. Vados would warn all his brothers that Kus was part of the traitor's plot, Tadawat. Everyone would start to mobilize. Although in a way it was too late, Goku would raise his ki to the maximum using Ultra Instinct. He would launch himself with everything towards the three angels, but Kuses would arrive with a kick that would knock him down. So you too, Whis would say. Anyway, they're finished. Everyone already knows it. What are you talking about? Kus would ask. Vados just got out of the hell of Universe 6 where Hit confessed that you killed him. Whis would say. We all know it already. Damn, we wasted a lot of time with that. Shut. Margarita would say. You three take care of WH. That way we'll gain the advantage by eliminating them one by one. Cuz would say. I won't allow that. Goku would say. Goku would launch himself with everything towards Cuz, but the angel would grab him by the face. Space-time would start to distort around them. Suddenly, Goku and Kus would be somewhere. What the hell? Boku would say, confused. This is Zone X. Cuz would say. A place far away from everything, where we can fight without anyone bothering us. Don't think you'll get out of this alive. I swear, I'll exterminate you and your traitorous brothers. Goku would say, furious. Please, what makes you think you're on the level of an angel? Cos would ask. Just because you can use Ultra Instinct doesn't mean you're worthy of walking by our side. Goku would blast his K to the max. He was ready to fight. Goku would throw himself at Kusis. He would attack her with the barrage of punches, but none of them would have any effect. No matter what Goku did, Kuich would outspeed him. At one point, Kus would hit Goku hard in the stomach. Goku would cough up blood and barely be able to move. The idea of bringing you to Zone X is not for anyone to get involved in our fight, Cuz would say. That when I kill you, your soul will be lost in nothingness, with no chance of being revived. You don't understand. No matter what you do or how strong you are, you'll never be able to beat me, Goku would say. We'll see about that. Cass would say. Meanwhile, on Beerus and Whis, Whis was being brutally attacked by the three angels. All the brothers would be watching them, but they wouldn't have time to get there and to chalet. That's what you get for supporting mortals, okay? He would say, Margarita, the time has come for the angels to rule, and nothing can stop it, Mojito would say. Campari would arrive at West with a strong kick to his chest that would throw him away. Whis would bleed from the severe wound. Fighting 3 was too much for him, even if it was better for them. Meanwhile, in Zone X, Kus was tearing Goku to pieces. He didn't even give him a chance to defend himself. Goku would lose his transformation. He was no longer in a condition to fight. Now you'll stay here rotten in Zone X for eternity, said Kus. This Kus would leave there, leaving Goku alone in Zone X, say, It can't be. I have to find a way to get out of here, Goku would say, dying on the verge of death. What could happen now that the angels have rebelled, Aleo? Will Whisper able to survive the attack? And will Goku also manage to escape Zone X? We'll see all this in the next part of this incredible theory. And, well, friends, I hope you enjoyed the movie. If you want to see more parts in another movie of this fantastic theory of Goku, the Guardian of Zeno Sama, leave your like and comment and subscribe. If this video reaches 8,000 likes, I will upload the next parts and movies without fail. Without further ado, see you in the next part.
Have you noticed how some stories don't really end when the screen fades to black? They stay with you. They make you replay every conversation, every battle, every suspicious look, and every impossible decision. This is one of those stories. Think back to how everything started. At first, it looked like peace had finally settled over the world of Zeno. The Omni Kings were peacefully sleeping while their guardians stood watch over them, completely unaware that something terrifying was already approaching. Then, in only a matter of seconds, those supposedly untouchable guardians were eliminated without anyone even sensing their attacker. That single moment changed everything. It wasn't just about powerful warriors losing a fight. It proved that somewhere out there existed an enemy capable of bypassing beings that everyone believed were impossible to defeat. From that point on, the entire balance of the multiverse was shaken. And then came Goku. Ironically, when we first saw him, he wasn't fighting for the fate of existence. He was simply sitting at home after dinner, joking with Chi-Chi about farming, trying to convince everyone that he deserved a vacation after working so hard. It was one of those classic Goku moments that reminded us why he's such a unique character. Even after saving countless universes, he's still just Goku. But that peaceful evening wouldn't last very long. Whis and Beerus suddenly arrived with an offer that nobody could have predicted. Not another tournament, not another enemy, not another training session. Instead, Goku was chosen to become the new guardian of Zeno himself. Just think about that for a second. Out of everyone in all 12 universes, every god of destruction, every supreme Kai, every angel, the one selected to protect the two most important beings in existence was a mortal Saiyan from Earth. That decision alone created tension before Goku even began his job. You could almost feel the discomfort coming from many of the angels. Some respected him, but others clearly believed he didn't belong there. To them, a mortal could never be worthy of standing beside the highest authority in existence. And honestly, can you blame them for thinking that way? From their perspective, he wasn't one of them. He wasn't born divine. He wasn't an angel. He wasn't created for that responsibility. Yet somehow, Zeno trusted him completely. That alone made him a target. Then came one of the most fascinating parts of this entire story: Goku's training under the Grand Priest. This wasn't ordinary Dragon Ball training. There were no mountains to destroy, no gravity chamber, no endless punching bags. Instead, Goku had to relearn how to exist. He trained in environments with almost no gravity, where even throwing a punch felt unnatural. He learned to fight under impossible temperatures, to react in conditions no mortal had ever experienced, and to sense every tiny movement around him. Remember when he realized his strongest punch suddenly felt weak? That wasn't because he had become weaker. It's because true mastery isn't about having more power. It's about controlling every single aspect of that power. 5 years of training passed inside the special chamber. Only 1 day passed outside. When Goku finally emerged, he wasn't simply stronger. Even Beerus looked shocked. The angels who already disliked him suddenly had another reason to fear him, because now he wasn't just a mortal anymore. He had become something that even they had to acknowledge. But strength wasn't the greatest challenge waiting for him. The real enemy was hiding behind smiles. Think about how many clues were placed throughout the story. The strange attitudes, the uncomfortable conversations, the jealousy, the silent looks between the angels. Every little detail slowly pointed towards something much bigger than anyone expected. Then came Hit. At first, it looked like Goku had finally caught the assassin responsible for attacking Zeno. But that assumption quickly fell apart. Hit wasn't there to kill anyone. He had been secretly assigned to protect the palace from another invisible threat. That completely changed the investigation. Instead of finding the criminal, they discovered that someone had been manipulating events from the shadows all along. And that's what makes this mystery so interesting. Every answer only created even more questions. Who killed the original Guardians? Who could erase someone like Hit? How were attacks appearing from nowhere? Why were dimensional distortions showing up around the palace? Every clue pushed Goku deeper into a conspiracy that stretched across multiple universes. Then came the heartbreaking betrayal. Honestly, who expected angels to become the villains? These were supposed to be beings of absolute neutrality, the guides, the mentors, the protectors. Yet little by little, their true intentions began to surface. Margarita, Mojito, Campari, and eventually, Cuss. One betrayal after another, one shocking revelation after another.
Suddenly, the greatest threat wasn't some ancient monster or forgotten god. It was the very people everyone trusted the most. That changes everything. Because how do you fight an enemy who already understands every rule of the universe? How do you protect Zeno when the danger comes from those closest to him? And despite everything, Goku never stopped doing what Goku always does. He kept moving forward. He kept protecting people. He kept believing there was still a way to uncover the truth. Even when everyone started suspecting him, even when the evidence was manipulated against him, even when almost every angel believed he was responsible, he refused to give up. That determination is probably the biggest reason so many people love this character. Because Goku isn't perfect. He makes mistakes. Sometimes he speaks before thinking. Sometimes he trusts too easily. But when innocent lives are on the line, he never walks away. And that's exactly what happened here. The story transformed from a simple mystery into a full-scale civil war among the angels themselves. Whis, Vadas, Beerus, the gods of destruction, every single one of them became trapped inside a conflict that threatened the entire multiverse. And somehow, right in the middle of all that chaos, a single Saiyan still refused to surrender.
But if you think that's where the tension reaches its peak, think again. Everything escalated the moment Goku uncovered the truth behind Hit's mission. Instead of finding the assassin responsible for the attacks, he discovered that Hit had actually been protecting Zeno's world in secret. That revelation changed the entire investigation. Suddenly, everyone had to question everything they thought they knew. And then the impossible happened. Hit, one of the most dangerous assassins in the multiverse, was eliminated almost effortlessly. Take a moment to think about what that means. This is the same Hit who could manipulate time, defeat legendary warriors, and survive battles that most fighters couldn't even imagine. Yet someone cut him down before he could properly react. That alone tells us just how terrifying the real enemy truly is. As the mystery deepened, the pieces slowly began to fit together. Dimensional distortions, portal technology, frozen time, false accusations. None of these events were random. Someone had been planning this for a very long time. And when the traitorous angels finally revealed themselves, everything changed forever. Margarita, Mojito, Camperi, and finally, Kus. These weren't ordinary villains searching for power. They wanted something far greater. Freedom from Zeno, freedom from the rules, freedom to reshape the hierarchy of existence itself. For the first time, we witnessed angels abandoning the neutrality that defined them and openly declaring war against their own family. That betrayal was shocking not only because of who they were, but because of what it forced everyone else to do. Whis had to fight his own siblings. Vados had to stand against members of her own family. The gods of destruction suddenly found themselves caught in a conflict they never imagined could exist. Even Beerus, who usually acts carefree and overconfident, realized the situation had become far more dangerous than any battle he had ever faced. And right in the center of all this chaos, there was Goku. Remember when everyone started blaming him? That may have been one of the hardest moments in the entire story. After everything he sacrificed, after spending years training, after accepting the responsibility of protecting Zeno, many of the angels immediately believed he was the traitor. It reminds us of something important. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't earn immediate trust. Sometimes the truth takes time to reveal itself. Fortunately, not everyone abandoned him. Whis believed in him. Vado stood beside him. Beerus never stopped supporting him. And eventually, the truth began to surface as more evidence exposed the real conspirators. Still, victory came at an enormous cost. The battles became more brutal. Friends were wounded. Gods fell. Entire universes stood on the edge of collapse. And perhaps the most emotional moment arrived when Goku pushed himself beyond every limit once again. Think back to that incredible clash.
Whis and Vados were barely holding on. 3 traitorous angels were overwhelming them. It looked completely hopeless. Then Goku stood back up. Despite his injuries, despite his exhaustion, despite knowing the odds, he chose to fight anyway. That's Goku. Not because he's fearless, not because he believes he'll always win, but because giving up simply isn't part of who he is. His determination allowed him to awaken even greater power, pushing Ultra Instinct beyond what anyone expected. Watching him stand alongside Whis and Vados against enemies that should have been impossible to defeat became one of the greatest highlights of this story. But even that wasn't the end. Kus proved to be even more dangerous than anyone imagined. Separating Goku into the mysterious Zone X wasn't simply another attack, it was a calculated move, a place beyond normal reality, a prison where even death might not offer escape. Now, think about where the story leaves us. Zeno remains trapped, the Grand Priest is still frozen in time, the multiverse has lost its balance. Several angels have revealed their true intentions, others are still surrounded by uncertainty. Whis continues fighting for hope, and Goku, our hero, is stranded alone inside a place where almost nobody has ever escaped. That's what makes this ending so powerful. We don't know what comes next. Will Goku discover a way out of the Zone X? Can Whis and the remaining loyal angels stop the rebellion before it's too late? Will Zeno ever be freed from the temporal prison? Or is an even greater mastermind still hiding in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to make the final move? Those are the questions that keep us coming back. Stories like this aren't just about incredible transformations or explosive battles. They're about mystery, trust, sacrifice, loyalty, and the courage to keep standing even when the entire universe turns against you. If you enjoyed this incredible journey, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which moment surprised you the most? Who do you think is the strongest traitorous angel? Do you believe Goku has already surpassed the angels, or is there still another level waiting for him? And perhaps the biggest question of all, how do you think this story will end? Share your theories down in the comments because I genuinely love to read them. If you enjoyed this incredible journey and want to continue exploring incredible Dragon Ball stories, alternate timelines, fan theories, and epic what-if scenarios like this one, make sure you subscribe to Akira DB. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload, because there are many more amazing stories, battles, and mysteries waiting for you. And if this is your first time here, don't stop with this video. Go check out the previous videos on the channel to experience even more incredible Dragon Ball adventures while you wait for the next chapter. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, keep your Saiyan spirit alive, and I'll see you in the next video here on Akira DB.